Hi, I'm Dr. Eric Cobb from ZL Performance, and today what I want to talk to you about briefly is your client's lizard brain, inflammation, and why the way that they're exercising may be frustrating you. Now, what I mean by that is I work with thousands of health and fitness professionals around the world. And one of the things I always ask in our classes is a simple question. How many of you feel like you care more about your client's health than they do? And very often, 80-90% of people in the room raise their hand. And when I delve a little further into that, usually what comes up is they struggle with compliance. In other words, health and fitness pros know that their clients need to do things in their diet. They need to exercise when they're not with them. And that's one of the biggest struggles that we have. Now, one of the reasons that this is happening around the world is a very simple idea, which is called exercise salience. Now, exercise salience is a kind of technical word for basically how important and how much attention do our brains focus on movement. And one of the things that's arising right now as we learn more and more about how the brain and body interact is that low levels of inflammation throughout the body actually signal to the brain not to move. All right? It's kind of a simple idea that high levels of inflammation are recognized by the brain as a threat, and the result of that inflammation usually is a lowering of motivation to move and exercise. Now, why does that matter to you as a health and fitness pro? Pretty simple idea. To explain this, I want to talk about what we call our threat bucket. And if you read the article that's designed to accompany this video, you're going to read a lot about the history of pain science. Because what we do in our system is we look at emerging neuroscience around pain and try to extrapolate from that how it also is involved in performance. So put really simply, here's what we believe is now happening in the brain when it comes to pain and also how you perform in your daily life. The idea is that you have a super system, all right, almost an umbrella system in your brain that is specifically devoted to keeping you alive. Its whole idea is survival. And the way that it does that is it looks at all the incoming input into your nervous system. And if you look at this picture up here, you see you've got lots and lots of different things that come into your bucket. It could be your eyes, it could be your inner ear, it could be how you move. On top of that, how much you know about pain, how much you know about movement, how well educated you are around it, sleep, nutrition, and the intensity of exercise that you put yourself through. Now, why all that's really important is that as we go through our life, we have a certain level of threat. In other words, your brain's looking into your environment and saying, hey, this exercise is creating some stress, it's creating some inflammation. And then it combines that with the fact that you had a fight with your boss at work. So now you have some additional tension or changes in your hormonal environment. The whole concept is that most of the time when we're healthy, we're able to keep those threats at a level that is low enough that it doesn't create an output. But as the threats increase in proportion, eventually your brain reaches hey, we're going to have a survival issue arise here, so it will then start to create an output to make you change your behavior. Now, long before a lot of people actually reach pain, other things happen. And one of the things that we're starting to see again in the literature is that depending on what you have in your total life, as inflammation increases in the body, that is sending a signal to your brain that you're under threat. And like I said, there's a lot of cool studies out there now looking at what's called exercise salience. And if we then take people who are inflamed, their motivation, desire to exercise goes down. Why does that matter to you? Again, this is all connected to the stuff in the article, but the simple thing that I want to share with you is, number one, you need to be tracking your client's daily response to the dose of exercise that you're giving them. If you've ever heard me talk about this, we talk about exercise as a drug, and we need to give the right drug in the right dosage. And if you're not tracking, you don't know. So in the article, I give you a simple way to do kind of some daily tracking of pain and soreness, but also typical inflammatory markers that people have. The second thing you want to then think about is if my clients are not good at complying, if I have some people that really struggle to make it to their sessions, they don't seem to enjoy moving, etc., think about modulating or moderating how hard you work them on a daily basis. Because exercise feeds into the threat bucket, especially high intensity exercise. Whenever you start going above 70 to 75% intensity level in anything, it actually increases markers of acute inflammation in the body, and that is monitored at such a kind of delicate balance within the body that exercise that's too intense can actually tip the scales into a chronic inflammatory state. And when that happens, the brain says, you know what, enough of this crazy exercise stuff, I need to rest. Now, the reason that we bring a lot of this up is that your clients have this kind of overlying lizard brain, if you will. And a lot of the things that frustrate you as a health and fitness professional can be addressed by simply looking through what you do and saying, hey, how can we lower the threat level? In our program, what we look at are all the stuff we've already talked about. We look at the eyes and how the eyes are working. We look at the vestibular system and how it's working. We look at movement patterns and how we're exercising people. Now, what that then leads you to is this, which was what we call our 9S athletic development model. And the simple thing that we do with our clients is we say, hey, the athlete's sitting in the center, and we look at all the different attributes, from strength to what they're eating to their endurance levels. And through a lot of different assessments and evaluations, we try to identify the things that they need the most. And from there, we spend a lot of time improving their eyes, their inner ear, and their movement technique in all of these areas, because as an exercise pro, in terms of lowering their stress, that's one of the very best things that you can do. So, again, to summarize, there's a threat bucket in the brain. You, as a health and fitness pro, if you struggle with compliance with your clients, if you get frustrated with the fact that you seem to care more than they do, recognize that it may be their lizard brain that you're dealing with and not their cognitive brain. And one of the best things that you can do is figure out how to lower their threat, lower their overall inflammation, and in doing so, it's going to free up some space, if you will, for their brain to recognize the importance of what you have to offer them. So good luck. If you have any questions about this, let us know.
If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button below. If you have any questions about the threat bucket or client assessment in general, please leave a comment and we will do our absolute best to answer you. And if you want any more information about PT on the Net or Z Health, click on the links in the description. Subscribe to our channel. We upload a video every week.